Alaska is a land of towering mountains, vast forests, and icy wilderness. But beneath its breathtaking landscapes lie secrets that span thousands of years. From ancient artifacts and mysterious carvings to lost villages and legends of giants, Alaska's ancient mysteries challenge our understanding of history and invite explorers to uncover the hidden stories frozen in time. The ghosts of Portlock. There's a remote stretch of Alaska's southern coast on the Kenai Peninsula where the forest presses hard against the sea. The wind moves through Sitka spruce, and when fog rolls in, it muffles everything. Footsteps, bird calls, even the sound of waves. Today, there's almost nothing left of Portlock, or Port Chatham as it was once called. Just the ruins of fishing shacks, bits of rusting equipment, and the uneasy feeling that you're not alone. This place has been abandoned for more than 70 years, and locals still warn travelers not to linger. They call it cursed. Portlock was once a bustling canary town. In the early 1900s, it sat along Port Chatham Bay, a prime spot for halibut and salmon fishing. About 200 people lived there, mostly fishermen, cannery workers and their families. Life was tough, isolated and deeply tied to the water. But by the late 1940s, everyone had left all at once without official explanation. The entire settlement packed up and vanished, leaving homes, boats and tools behind, as if something had scared them out overnight. The story goes that something was living in the forests above the town, something the locals called Nantiinaq, roughly translated as hairy man. In the lore of the region's indigenous people, the Nantiinaq wasn't just a wild creature. It was something between man and spirit, huge and powerful, known to drag humans into the woods when angered. Early reports from Portlock claimed that hunters and woodcutters would disappear while working in the hills, only for search parties to find their bodies later mangled, torn apart or scattered. At first, people blamed bears. This was bear country after all, and attacks weren't uncommon, but the injuries didn't always match what a bear would do. Some victims seemed to have been hit or thrown. Others were found miles from where they'd last been seen, with no tracks leading in or out. Even seasoned hunters refused to go back into the forest after a few men went missing in the 1930s. The tension grew as the stories spread. Fishermen spoke of strange noises echoing across the bay at night, deep guttural roars that didn't sound like any known animal. Others claimed to see enormous footprints in the mud near the water, far larger than a human's. One crew swore they watched something dark and massive move between the trees as they hauled their nets. When a hunter disappeared in 1949 and another man was found dead a few weeks later, the remaining families decided they'd had enough. They gathered what they could and left by boat, abandoning Portlock completely. There was never a formal investigation, but word got around fast. Newspapers in Anchorage mentioned the deserted village and the strange stories surrounding it. The tale became a local legend, told and retold until it became part of Alaskan folklore. Even decades later, fishermen passing the bay would lower their voices when they talked about it. No one wanted to tempt fate. In the years since, the story of Portlock has drawn attention from cryptid researchers and paranormal investigators. Some see it as one of the strongest pieces of evidence for a Bigfoot-like creature in Alaska. The state's vast wilderness and low population make it one of the few places where something could exist largely unseen. Others think there's a more human explanation, that fear, isolation, and the hardships of frontier life led to hysteria. It's not hard to imagine that violence or accidents could be covered up or exaggerated over time. Still, it's the physical silence of the place that feeds the imagination. If you visit today, you'll find remnants scattered through the moss, rusted fishhooks, collapsed timbers, the faint outline of a trail. Locals who have gone back to explore say the air feels heavy, like the forest is watching. Even those who don't believe in monsters admit the atmosphere is different here, eerie in a way that's hard to explain. One account from the 1970s tells of a group of hunters who camped near the old town site. They reported hearing heavy footsteps outside their tents at night and found large tracks in the morning leading up toward the ridge. Another man, a fisherman who anchored offshore to shelter from a storm, claimed to have heard screams echoing from the forest, followed by the distinct sound of something large moving through brush. He didn't stay long enough to investigate. The US military conducted limited mapping of the area during the Cold War, and aerial photos show the forest quickly reclaiming what little remained of the settlement. No official signs of foul play were ever recorded, but oral history from nearby native villages keeps the legend alive. The Nantiinaq, they say, is not to be mocked or hunted. It's a guardian spirit of the land, one that defends its territory when disturbed. Whether the people of Portlock fled a real creature, a violent human, or their own collective fear, no one can say for sure. But something powerful happened here. Something that drove an entire community to abandon their homes. Standing among the ruins today, it's easy to see why the story endures. The fog moves in from the bay, clinging to the treetops. The forest smells of wet cedar and salt. You hear dripping water, the occasional raven call, and sometimes, if you stay quiet long enough, the faint creak of old wood shifting somewhere in the distance. It's the kind of silence that makes your mind start filling in the gaps. In recent years, interest in Portlock has surged again. Television crews, cryptozoologists, and curious travelers have tried to reach the site by boat or float plane. Some report strange sensations, equipment failures, headaches, or the feeling of being followed. The forest around Portlock is dense and unforgiving, tangled with roots and ferns. A misstep could mean injury or worse, and with weather that can turn in minutes, it's not a place for casual exploration. Still, people go drawn by that mix of curiosity and fear. They take photos, record sounds, and leave offerings at what they believe were old dwelling sites. Many locals, though, stay away. They'll talk about the legend in passing, but when asked if they'd go back, most shake their heads. Some fishermen still change course to avoid the bay altogether, claiming the fog there feels thicker, heavier, like it doesn't want you to see what's inside. If you think about it, Portlock represents something deeper than a simple monster story. It's about how the wilderness itself shapes human psychology. When you live on the edge of the world, surrounded by forces bigger than yourself, weather, isolation, darkness, it's easy to imagine something else out there watching. Whether the Nantiinaq is a real creature or a symbol for that fear doesn't really matter. The effect is the same. It keeps people cautious. It keeps them respectful of the land. As the decades pass, nature has nearly erased the town from the map. Grass covers the old canary floor, and the forest has swallowed most of the buildings. The bay is still beautiful, almost painfully so, with turquoise water and steep green cliffs. But the quiet feels unnatural. It's the kind of quiet that reminds you just how small you are in a place that doesn't need you to exist. If you were to visit today, you'd likely leave with more questions than answers. Maybe that's the real reason the story lasts, because it taps into that ancient human unease about the unknown. Something made the people of Portlock leave, and whatever it was, the wilderness has kept it secret. So when the fog drifts in and the wind carries strange echoes across the water, locals still glance toward the dark tree-line and mutter one word under their breath. Nantiinaq, music, the pyramid beneath Mount Denali. Alaska is a land of extremes where towering mountains meet icy seas and vast forests stretch further than the eye can see. But beyond its breathtaking scenery, Alaska hides secrets that stretch back thousands of years. Mysteries that still puzzle scientists, archaeologists, and locals alike. Some of these are tied to the land itself, some to the people who first lived here, and some seem almost impossible to explain. One of the most talked about mysteries is the so-called pyramid beneath Mount Denali. From the ground, Denali looks like any other massive peak in the Alaska range. but aerial surveys have revealed shapes in its upper slopes that resemble a pyramid. Some say it could be a natural formation carved by glaciers over centuries. Others suggest it's evidence of an ancient civilization lost to history, leaving a structure that no one has fully explained. Either way, the idea that such a formation exists at the top of North America's highest peak is enough to spark curiosity and wonder. Not far from Denali, the artifacts found around Barrow, now known as Uti, hint at an even older history. Archaeologists have uncovered tools, bones, and remnants of shelters tied to prehistoric whaling traditions. These discoveries suggest that the people who lived here had a deep understanding of the sea and its creatures, passing down knowledge that allowed them to thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The exact origins of these traditions remain a mystery, as no written records exist to tell their story. But the artifacts speak volumes, offering a glimpse into a way of life that has long since faded. On Anongla Island, researchers have found evidence of one of North America's earliest human settlements. The island's remote location and the age of the artifacts suggest that these early inhabitants were among the first to cross the Bering Land Bridge, migrating into what is now Alaska. The tools and remains found on the island provide insight into how these early people lived, hunted, and adapted to their environment. Yet, many questions remain unanswered about their origins and the journey that brought them to this isolated spot. Across the waters on Kodiak Island, ancient petroglyphs have been discovered, etched into the rock by hands long gone. These carvings depict scenes of daily life, animals and symbols whose meanings have been lost to time. Some researchers believe they represent a form of communication or storytelling, while others think they might have had spiritual or ceremonial significance. Without a key to decipher them, the true purpose of these petroglyphs remains one of Alaska's enduring mysteries. The Aleutian Islands, a chain of volcanic islands stretching into the Pacific, hold their own secrets beneath the waves. Submerged villages have been found off the coast, suggesting that these settlements were once above water, but were later inundated by rising sea levels. The discovery of these underwater sites raises questions about the ancient inhabitants' adaptation to changing environments and the events that led to their submergence. In the vast expanse of Wrangell St. Elias National Park, mysterious rock carvings have been uncovered depicting animals and symbols that don't match any known species or cultural motifs. Some believe these carvings could be the work of ancient peoples whose knowledge and traditions have been lost over time. Others think they might represent a form of early art or communication, offering a window into the minds of those who lived in this remote region centuries ago. Beneath the ice of Mendenhall Glacier, artifacts have been discovered, preserved by the cold for centuries. These objects, ranging from tools to clothing, provide a snapshot of life in a time long past. The preservation of these items raises questions about the conditions that allowed them to remain intact and what they can tell us about the people who once used them. On Nantiinaq Island, intricately carved masks have been found, their purpose and significance still a matter of debate. Some believe these masks were used in ceremonies or rituals, while others think they might have been part of a storytelling tradition. The craftsmanship and detail suggest a culture with a deep appreciation for art and symbolism. Yet, the exact meaning behind these masks remains elusive. The Inupiat people have long told stories of giants and mysterious creatures inhabiting the land. These legends are tied to specific locations, some of which have been identified through archaeological research. While many of these stories are passed down through oral tradition, they offer insight into how the Inupiat understood their world and the forces that shaped it. The Bering Land Bridge, once a vast stretch of land connecting Asia to North America, holds clues to the migration of ancient peoples. Sites with artifacts predating known migrations suggest that humans may have arrived in the Americas earlier than previously thought. These findings challenge established theories about the timing and routes of human migration into the New World. Along the Kuskokwim River, ancient burial sites have been discovered, their arrangements and contents offering a glimpse into the burial practices of early Alaskan cultures. Some of these sites contain items that suggest a belief in an afterlife or a connection to spiritual realms. The discovery of these burial sites raises questions about the beliefs and customs of the people who created them. In the Tanana Valley, petroglyphs have been found, their shapes and patterns suggesting a possible connection to astronomical events or cycles. Some researchers believe these carvings were used to mark important dates or to track celestial movements. The exact purpose of these petroglyphs remains a topic of study and debate. Near Fairbanks, mysterious stone structures have been uncovered, their purpose and origin still unknown. Some believe they might have been used for ceremonial purposes, while others think they could be remnants of ancient dwellings or storage sites. The lack of definitive answers only adds to the intrigue surrounding these structures. On the Seward Peninsula, archaeological remains hint at advanced prehistoric communities that once thrived in the region. The complexity of the structures and artifacts found suggests a level of sophistication that challenges previous assumptions about early Alaskan societies. These findings continue to spark interest and research into the history of the area. Legends of sky cities, ancient settlements built on high cliffs and inaccessible peaks persist among Alaskan native cultures. These stories describe cities perched in seemingly unreachable locations, suggesting a people with advanced architectural skills and a deep connection to the land. While no physical evidence of these sky cities has been found, the legends continue to captivate the imagination. Alaska's ancient mysteries are as vast and varied as the state itself. From sunken villages to enigmatic carvings, each discovery adds a layer to the complex tapestry of its history. While many questions remain unanswered, the pursuit of knowledge continues, driven by the belief that beneath the surface lies a story waiting to be told. Inupiat legend sites. The Inupiat people of northern Alaska have a rich oral tradition filled with stories of the land, the sea, and creatures that live beyond the edge of human understanding. Among these tales are stories tied to specific locations, sites where the Inupiat believe the spiritual and physical worlds intersect. These are not just stories meant to entertain. They carry lessons, warnings, and cultural memory passed down through generations. Many of the sites themselves are difficult to reach, often located in remote stretches of tundra along icy riverbanks or atop windswept cliffs, which adds to the sense of mystery that surrounds them. One type of Inupiat legend revolves around enormous beings, sometimes described as giants, said to have lived in the mountains and valleys long before humans arrived. According to the stories, these giants shaped the land itself, carving valleys, creating rivers, and leaving behind massive stones in their wake. Some elders describe remnants of these beings' activity, unusual rock formations that don't appear natural, or depressions in the earth that suggest enormous footprints. Explorers and researchers who visit these locations often report a feeling of unease, as if the land itself remembers something ancient and powerful. Other Inupiat legends speak of mysterious creatures of the sea, ones that dwell under the ice and appear during storms. These creatures are said to control the weather or guard hidden treasures beneath the frozen waters. Fishermen and hunters in the region recount strange occurrences like sudden storms forming with no warning or unusual patterns in the ice, which they attribute to the influence of these beings. While modern science can explain some of these events, there's a deep cultural memory that ties them to stories older than any written record. Certain river valleys and coastal inlets are considered sacred because of these legends. Sites along the Cavallina and Kobuk rivers, for example, are associated with spirits who protect the land and warn against overhunting or disrespecting nature. The stories insist that those who ignore the signs of these spirits may face misfortune, and local hunters still approach these areas with caution. Archaeologists working in these regions sometimes uncover tools, carvings, or bones in patterns that seem unusual compared to other sites, sparking speculation that these could be linked to ritual practices or ceremonial observances that are aligned with the legends. Even in the tundra away from the sea, the Inupiat speak of hidden villages, sometimes called sky villages or spirit villages, said to exist on high cliffs or in valleys obscured from plain sight. According to the tales, these settlements were home to powerful leaders or spirits and were built to be unreachable by ordinary humans. People who claim to have visited these areas often describe finding evidence of past habitation, stone foundations, small artifacts, or ceremonial objects partially buried or worn by time. Some researchers suggest that these could be remnants of old seasonal camps or defensive sites, but the precise nature of these settlements remains uncertain. One of the most enduring elements of Inupiat legend sites is the feeling of connection between the land and the stories. Unlike many archaeological sites that are simply studied and catalogued, these places carry an intangible presence, a sense of history that's not just physical, but spiritual. Elders describe walking in certain valleys or across frozen plains and feeling the stories around them as if the land itself is alive with memory. Even scientists and visitors who do not share these beliefs often report a strange atmosphere, quiet that feels heavier than usual, or a sudden awareness of movement in the wind that cannot be explained. Many of these legends also involve moral lessons tied to survival. Stories of giants or sea creatures often emphasize respect for nature, the need for cooperation, and the dangers of greed or arrogance. These lessons were crucial in a harsh environment where a single mistake could mean life or death. Over time, these moral tales became intertwined with the geography itself, so that particular rocks, rivers, or mountains were remembered not just as landmarks, but as reminders of the stories. Some Inupiat legend sites also contain petroglyphs or carvings that are difficult to interpret. Shapes of animals, unusual symbols, and even abstract patterns have been found near locations tied to the stories. While some of these carvings might have been purely decorative, others appear to align with the tales, like symbols representing spirits, giants, or supernatural events. The meanings of many carvings remain unknown, leaving researchers to speculate and sometimes inadvertently to rely on local knowledge passed down orally. Even today, modern development and climate change pose threats to these sites. Melting permafrost, erosion, and expanding settlements risk damaging or destroying some locations that have survived for centuries. Local communities have become increasingly involved in protecting these sites, combining scientific research with traditional knowledge to preserve the stories and the places themselves. Elders work with younger generations to ensure that even if the physical site is altered or lost, the memory and significance of the legends remain intact. Visiting an Inupiat legend site today is a unique experience. It's often not just about seeing ancient artifacts or unusual landforms, but about immersing oneself in the stories themselves. Many who make the journey report a quiet reverence, a sense of walking through a world layered with history, myth, and human experience. There is a feeling that the land itself is communicating, that each stone, river, and cliff carries whispers of the past. In the end, the Inupiat legend sites are not just about the mysteries of the past. They are living connections between people, place, and story. The giant spirits and hidden villages may or may not exist in the literal sense, but the power of these tales endures. They shape how people understand their surroundings, guide behavior, and keep the memory of generations alive. Walking among these sites, it's easy to see why they continue to inspire awe and curiosity, why researchers, adventurers, and locals alike are drawn to explore and listen, always hoping to catch a glimpse of the secrets that Alaska keeps hidden in plain sight. Mendenhall Glacier, ancient artifacts. Ancient. Just outside Juneau, where mountains rise sharply from the sea, Mendenhall Glacier stretches across the valley like a frozen river of time. Tourists come for the view. But what lies beneath the ice has drawn scientists and locals for a very different reason. Over the years, as the glacier has retreated, it has revealed pieces of the past, ancient tools, fragments of clothing, and other artifacts that had been locked away for centuries. Each discovery hints at people who once lived, hunted, and traveled here long before modern history began. The glacier acts like a time capsule. What the cold touches, it preserves. When explorers first found handmade tools emerging from the melting edge of the ice, it shocked researchers. These items weren't modern. They were thousands of years old. Bone and stone implements showed the skill of people who lived off the land, hunting caribou and fishing the icy waters nearby. As the ice melted, it gave up more secrets. Wood from ancient spears, small fragments of woven grass, and even bits of hide that once formed clothing. Each new find raised more questions. Who were these early people? How far had they traveled? And why were their belongings buried in ice? Some archaeologists believe these objects belonged to early hunters who followed animal herds through the region. Others think the glacier may have swallowed entire camps or hunting parties when it advanced during colder periods. Whatever the reason, these discoveries challenged old timelines and suggested that humans were thriving in this part of Alaska much earlier than once believed. The area around Mendenhall was never an easy place to live. Winters are long, and even summers can feel harsh. Yet the evidence shows that people here understood their surroundings deeply. They built tools suited for ice and snow, and they knew how to use every part of an animal for survival. Meat for food, bones for tools, sinew for thread. To stand by the glacier today and imagine these early people moving through the valley is humbling. The landscape they knew wasn't so different from what we see now. The same mountains, the same chill in the air, but the world must have felt much larger and far more dangerous. In some ways, the glacier itself tells their story. As it melts, new artifacts surface, as if the ice releases one small memory at a time. But it's a delicate process. The same melting that reveals these ancient objects also destroys them, if they aren't recovered quickly. Scientists rush to collect and preserve whatever the ice exposes, often working in freezing rain or biting wind. Every piece of wood or bone has to be handled carefully because even touching it too roughly can cause it to crumble. One of the most mysterious discoveries came when researchers uncovered a small bundle made of hide, wrapped carefully and buried deep in the ice. Inside were finely crafted tools, arrow points, scraping stones, and pieces of cord. It looked as if someone had intentionally hidden it, perhaps for safekeeping. The precision and care suggest that these weren't just practical items, but things of value, maybe even part of a ritual or offering. No one knows for certain, but the find adds a layer of mystery to an already intriguing place. Local native communities have their own interpretations of these discoveries. Some see the glacier as alive, a being that guards the memories of their ancestors. According to certain oral traditions, the ice holds stories, releasing them only when the time is right. This perspective gives the findings a spiritual depth that science alone can't capture. To many people in Juneau, the glacier isn't just a geological feature, it's a storyteller speaking through the things it lets go. Visiting Mendenhall Glacier today, you can sense that connection between past and present. The air is sharp, and the sound of cracking ice echoes across the valley. Streams of meltwater run beneath the blue walls, carrying silt that's older than recorded history. Somewhere within that ice might still lie more remnants of the people who once walked this same land. Every year, as the glacier continues to recede, more possibilities emerge. Fragments of wood, pieces of bone, or tools shaped by hands that disappeared thousands of years ago. There's something haunting about knowing that the answers are trapped in a substance that's vanishing. The melting of Mendenhall Glacier is both a gift and a warning. It reveals history even as it disappears, reminding us that everything ice, earth, even civilizations changes with time. The artifacts found here don't just tell us who lived in Alaska's ancient past. They remind us how fragile the connection is between memory and landscape. The glacier may one day be gone, but the stories it's revealed will continue to shape how we understand this wild, enduring land. The Alaska Triangle. When most people think of mysterious places in the United States, Alaska isn't usually the first that comes to mind. Yet there is a stretch of land in the northernmost state that has earned a reputation for disappearances, strange phenomena, and unexplained events. Locals call it the Alaska Triangle. Unlike the famous Bermuda Triangle, which covers an area in the Atlantic, the Alaska Triangle spans from Anchorage in the south, up to Barrow in the north, and over to Juneau in the southeast. Within this vast region, people have reported countless odd occurrences, from missing hikers and aircraft to inexplicable lights and sounds in the wilderness. The disappearances here are what give the triangle its chilling reputation. Hikers vanish without a trace in the dense forests and rugged mountains. Small planes carrying passengers sometimes never reach their destination despite clear weather and experienced pilots at the controls. Even entire campsites or temporary settlements have been found abandoned, belongings left as if the occupants had simply vanished. While Alaska's harsh weather and treacherous terrain could explain some of these cases, the sheer number and variety of incidents have led many to suspect something more unusual is at play. Some attribute the mystery to natural causes unique to Alaska. The state is home to sudden storms, hidden crevasses and glaciers, and vast stretches of wilderness where orientation is difficult. Magnetic anomalies in certain areas can affect compasses, leading travelers astray. Wildlife encounters and avalanches also contribute to the danger. But what makes the Alaska Triangle different from other wilderness areas is that the number of disappearances seems disproportionate, and in many cases, no clear explanation has ever been found. Beyond disappearances, there are reports of strange lights hovering over remote forests and mountains. Witnesses describe glowing orbs moving silently, sometimes appearing to follow travelers or vehicles. Some speculate these are auroras or atmospheric phenomena, but many locals insist they have seen lights behaving in ways that defy natural explanation. Others report hearing unidentifiable sounds, low hums, distant thuds, or eerie whispers that vanish as quickly as they appear. For people living and traveling in the region, these occurrences are more than folklore. They are part of the lived experience of the wilderness. Legends surrounding the Alaska Triangle also tie into the state's indigenous cultures. Some Inupiat and Abaskan stories speak of spirits, guardians, or creatures that inhabit specific areas of the land, protecting certain places or punishing those who venture recklessly. These oral traditions predate modern mapping and exploration, suggesting that the land itself has long been considered mysterious and potentially dangerous. Modern reports of strange lights and disappearances are often woven into these older stories, creating a tapestry of mystery that spans centuries. One of the most compelling aspects of the Alaska Triangle is the lack of a single type of event. It's not just hikers going missing or planes disappearing. It's the combination of phenomena that makes the area so unsettling. People report odd animal behavior, sudden changes in weather, and even malfunctioning electronics. In one notable case, multiple hikers in a single group experienced their GPS devices failing simultaneously, leaving them lost in an area they had intended to navigate easily. When rescuers arrived, the group had moved inexplicably from where they were last seen, as if guided or misled by some unseen force. Despite the dangers, the Alaska Triangle continues to draw adventurers, paranormal enthusiasts, and researchers. Some are motivated by curiosity, others by the desire to uncover a scientific explanation for what is happening. Whether it's the natural hazards of the wilderness, magnetic anomalies, or something far stranger, the Triangle remains one of Alaska's most enduring mysteries. There's a sense that no matter how much is studied, the land itself resists complete understanding, keeping its secrets hidden beneath forests, mountains, and ice. Visiting the Alaska Triangle today is both awe-inspiring and humbling. The scenery is breathtaking. Towering peaks, endless forests, and rivers that wind like silver threads through the landscape. But there's also a sense of caution that hangs in the air. A reminder that this is a place where nature is powerful and unpredictable. Whether one attributes the events to science, folklore, or the unexplained, there's no denying the intensity of the experiences reported here. The Alaska Triangle is more than just a collection of strange events. It's a testament to the wild, untamed, and mysterious spirit of Alaska itself.